Chyteal the deal.
How long do I gotta cry for this injustice and this crime? Because I got a broken heart. I'm a mother whose son lost his life. And the media didn't think twice. There were no cameras and no Twitter tweets. There were no EMTs to the crime scene. No one to perform CPR. There were no Jesse Jacksons and no Al Sharptons to be found. It was a cruel day. No, it was a dark day. No, it was the worst day yet. And nobody was penalized for his death. There were no protests, no rallies, and no riots. See, I know you remember Rodney King and Eric Garner and Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown and George Floyd. So many incidents. But my son's death was significant. He was different. He was innocent. Yes, he was innocent. I'm his mother, and I know mothers say this, but he was innocent. He was labeled a statistic. He was poor, black, and ugly, but he wasn't vicious. He was rebellious and a troublemaker, and some called him a menace, but he wasn't wicked. For me, this was the worst day that any mother could possibly ever experience. A horrific thing for a mother to witness. An explicit murder that seemed senseless. I was stressed and my muscles were filled with tension because yesterday they let a murderer go free. And today, here lies a liar and here lies a thief. But y'all take my child and beat him like a beast. You beat him like a runaway slave, like a wild animal in a cage, like there was a debt to be paid. This is unnecessary police brutality. This excessive force and tragedy. My son was a casualty. And every time they punched him, I lost my breath automatically. I felt a lump in my throat, and in my chest was a hole because they covered his face in spit. They smashed open his back with sticks and belt clips, and after they split open his head by the fist of 6 or more law enforcement, they still didn't quit. They made him strip. They threw dice and flipped quarters for his kicks and his garments. They made fun of him and laughed. He was beat, he was dragged, he was stabbed. They didn't even read him his rights. He didn't argue. He didn't put up a fight. He didn't resist arrest. I saw him. I was there. I saw when he put his head down and threw his hands up, and they beat him down and told him to man up. They broke his nose. They broke his teeth. I couldn't believe what was happening. I couldn't watch it, but I couldn't leave. All of a sudden, they took out their artillery. Boom! At point blank range, they put 2 in his hands and 1 in his feet. They shoved me to the side and said, "Mary, don't you weep," but I cried deep. I'm his mother, so I cried deep. I cried deep. Somebody help me. Somebody get my baby down off of that tree. I'm his mother. I love him. I'm supposed to protect him. I can't just stand here and let them crucify him and brutalize him. This is a nightmare. Look, take him down and put me up there. Anything for my baby's life to be spared. I could see the very life leaving his body. Watching him taking his last breath was shocking. His face was so bad I couldn't recognize him. His body was so bloody I could barely identify it. So I'm I'm mourning the death of my baby, who was beat on the concrete and slaughtered right in front of me. It was ugly. They made a mess of things, and they still didn't believe that his blood was everywhere. His blood was on everything. His blood was all over you, and his blood was all over me. His blood was on your hands, and his blood was on my hands. And all they could see was another black man killed on the streets. But to me, he was my baby. From the time he was conceived until the very day he hung on Calvary.